2 murder investigations from the case files of Lieutenant Joe Kenda. First, a petty debt is repaid with gunfire.
The rumor in the neighborhood was that Clarence was a dead man.
To crack the case, Kenda must uncover what drove this vendetta.
The hell out the way, Cass. He just wanted to send a message.
There's a fatal mixture here of emotion and bad feelings.
Get out!
Then,
What's going on here?
Kenda takes 2 patrolmen under his wing to solve one of the most bizarre shootings of his career.
Over 100 rounds have been fired into this kitchen.
Who says we need any detectives? People who can handle this.
This was a simple case, but it was so incredibly rare and so different that it is just something you always remember. There is no such thing as an unsolvable crime. Think about your knowledge of human nature. Think about how and why people behave in the way they do. What is the evidence? What does it say? And at the end of the day, you have somebody by the throat, and that's the idea.
It's Sunday evening at the Valley High Apartments, and Melanie Cruz is catching up with her good friend, Ramona Howard.
Here you go, hon. Oh, you're the best.
Ramona is pregnant and pretty close to going into labor.
I love the bassinet. Yeah, I think you made the right choice.
You do?
Yeah.
Thanks. What's going on out there?
Is that a gunshot?
They panic, they go outside of their apartment to see what's happening.
Oh my God. Please.
Call the ambulance.
Oh God.
She realizes, there's something going on.
What is it?
The baby's coming.
Right now?
You need to call 2 ambulances.
Okay.
Across town, Joe Kenda is immersed in one of his favorite pastimes.
When I'm drawing, that's all that's happening, and I don't think about anything else. It is an escape for me from the realities of the world. My drawing is about landscapes, buildings, all sorts of different things, none of which relate to what I do for a living. It's always especially difficult for me to be interrupted in that process by the phone ringing because I know who's on the other end.
It's Kenda.
Dispatch informed me of a shooting on the east side of town.
All right, I'll be there in 25 minutes.
If I was interrupted in drawing, I would tear up what I had in front of me. I'd destroy it.
How are you, Sarge?
Jones? That's what we got.
Our victim's a 23-year-old male named Clarence Branch, who was shot in the chest, and we just got word that he was DOA at the hospital.
Any witnesses?
Yes, the victim's girlfriend, Cheryl Sinclair, was there with her child. The kid was sick, however, so they were escorted to the hospital as well.
All right, let's take a look at the scene.
Sure thing. It's on the end.
The girlfriend of the victim is obviously a key witness. She undoubtedly sees this, but her child is very sick, so we don't have a starting place until we can talk to somebody that has some knowledge. When I walk into this apartment, it's obvious that a child lives here. There are drawings on the wall, there are stuffed animals and toys on the floor everywhere.
These are casings. A25s?
Yes, sir.
But our victim was only shot once, right?
Correct.
2 expended 25 caliber casings. So 2 shots fired, 1 hit the victim. Where'd the other one go?
So our victim died right here. Who do those belong to?
There's blood droplets where the victim was found, but several feet away in a separate direction, there's also blood droplets. Well, where do those blood droplets come from? Do we have somebody else that shot here?
Excuse me, Sergeant. They have a Thomas Livery outside. He's the apartment manager. He says he has some information you want to hear.
Okay, let's go talk to him.
So the building manager is a great resource because they know who comes and goes, who stays up late, who goes to work early.
Delivery. So what have you got for us?
I was out here working on this doorknob and I heard all this noise.
The apartment manager observed 2 people running from the apartment.
One guy went running one way and the other guy went the other way, and they just both disappeared.
So these 2 people are likely to be involved in this.
Do you know these guys? Did you get a good look at them?
Now, to be honest, I was really kind of scared myself, so I just kind of ducked.
Thank you.
This isn't a ton of information, but considering a few minutes ago I had nothing, I'll take it.
Sir, there's a neighbor I think you should speak with.
Who's that?
April Travis. She lives in the building across the street. Says she knows the victim.
All right, thank you. Miss Travis, I'm Detective Kenda. I understand you know Clarence Branch?
Yes, I'm good friends with his girlfriend, Cheryl.
Apparently her children play with their children, and she has had numerous conversations with both Clarence and Cheryl.
And what can you tell me about Clarence?
I know he's former military. Got divorced a little while back. He's a really nice guy. I've never known him to get into any kind of trouble.
The word was if you needed anything, you'd go to Clarence, and chances are he would help you out.
What about Cheryl? What do you know about her?
She's from Texas. She and her kid moved in with Clarence not that long ago.
She reports to us that Clarence Branch has 2 children from a previous engagement, and he has partial custody.
Is Cheryl divorced as well?
As far as I know, she's still going through a divorce with her husband in West Texas. I think his name is Felton.
We don't know who this husband is. We don't know if he's distressed about the divorce. We don't know any of the dynamics. What if this marriage is ending badly and something is happening as a result?
Do you know if there's any issues in this divorce?
I'm not sure. Look, all I know is that she did not want to see Felton ever again.
In divorces, it's not uncommon for children to be used as instruments of revenge. Here we have a girl from Texas getting divorced in Texas. Then she has removed this child from the state of Texas, probably with no one's permission. So there's a fatal mixture here of emotion and bad feelings that could have led to gunshot wounds in the case of Clarence.
Felton, what are you doing here?
Where's our daughter? Where's Rosie? I want my daughter.
You can't be.
Rosie! Hey, Rosie, you want to come to Dad?
What's going on, Cheryl? Get the hell out of my house, man.
This is my daughter.
It's just terrible that this has happened. Do you know who did it?
Not yet. We're getting there. Thank you.
We came here knowing nothing, but now we know quite a bit. Cheryl Sinclair is in the process of getting a divorce, and now her new boyfriend winds up dead. So the obvious question is, what's her soon-to-be ex-husband up to these days, particularly on this day? So we're investigating the death of Clarence Branch, a 23-year-old shot to death at his front door by person or persons unknown. We don't have a lot of information, but we're starting to get more details about Cheryl Sinclair, the woman he lives with.
So the police figure out pretty quickly that Cheryl's actually married to a man who lives in Texas.
How did you find this note?
When you're hearing this, your first thought is, could he have tracked her down from Texas to Colorado and ended up in an altercation and ended up shooting Clarence? That's something we got to look at.
The following morning, Detective Stephen Jones reaches out to a small sheriff's department in West Texas for some answers.
So witnesses can attest to his whereabouts?
Yes, sir. Alibi confirmed on multiple accounts.
You sure about that?
Oh, no doubt. Besides, I've known Felton Sinclair since he was a child. That boy didn't kill nobody. Don't have it in him.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your help.
You take care now.
Mr. Sinclair has a very firm alibi, so the soon-to-be ex-husband is off the table.
The investigation feels stuck in first gear. But before long, a new lead materializes.
Hey, Sarge, one of our guys got a hold of Clarence's girlfriend, Cheryl, at the hospital. Apparently, her kid's feeling better and she's headed home shortly.
Perfect. So talk to her.
That's a help to this investigation. Cheryl was there when this shooting happened.
This all still feels like a bad dream.
We know how hard this is, Cheryl. But you're our best hope of finding out who did this.
I know.
Cheryl explains that there's been some bad blood between Clarence and a resident of the building whose name is Albert James.
Clarence owed Albert's wife $20 for some babysitting she did for us a few weeks back, and he just hadn't gotten around to paying her back yet.
Only $20?
Yeah, but it was more than enough to piss off Albert, apparently.
Cheryl says a rumor in the neighborhood was that Albert had been telling people that Clarence was a dead man.
Baby, what are you doing?
Don't worry about it.
What do you mean, don't worry about it?
So Clarence, in response to hearing about these threats, bought a gun.
Clarence,
We're gonna keep that right in here.
is this really necessary, Clarence? You know I don't like guns.
I know, baby, I know. But we gotta protect ourselves.
Mr. Branch decides he doesn't need anyone's help but his own and engages in a one-man arms race and buys a handgun. When you take matters into your own hands that are police matters, the results often are not very good.
And sure enough, Albert shows up at our front door last night.
If Clarence knew there was going to be trouble, why let him in at all?
Yeah, well, when Clarence opened the door, he didn't see Albert. He saw Nathan.
Nathan?
Nathan Emerson. He lives here in the building. So Clarence opens the door for Nathan, and in comes crazy Albert right behind him.
Cheryl surmised that perhaps maybe Albert had paid Nathan a couple of bucks to knock on the door so that Clarence thought it was Nathan at the door.
So if we talk to this Nathan, he'll back up this entire story?
Oh, I don't know. I hardly know the guy. Who knows what he's gonna say? He might lie his ass off to protect Albert. I'm just telling you what I know.
And this interview's going on with Cheryl, and you're getting suspicious about some of the things she's telling you.
So if we give you a gunshot residue test, are you going to pass it?
What do you mean, gun residue?
Well, it's a test to see if there's any discharge on you from firing a weapon.
Well, I'm not gonna pass that,
And why not?
because I shot the gun.
My. This is certainly getting more interesting.
When Albert came in, he was acting all crazy, so I got the gun and I thought that would scare him off, but instead he came at me, so I had to shoot him.
And where'd you shoot him?
In his arm?
This is a reasonable argument under the circumstances. Forced entry, someone assaults someone advances towards you. She has a self-defense argument.
Okay, then how did Clarence go about getting shot?
Albert came and took the gun away from me.
She says he takes it, twists it out of her hand, knocks her to the floor, turns around and fires one shot at Clarence.
And then Nathan and Albert took off while my man lay there dying.
We don't know why we had two casings at the crime scene. The second shot went into Albert James's arm. So our bad guy is not only on the loose, he is wounded, and he is still armed with Clarence Branch's pistol.
Let's get on the radio and contact all the medical centers to be on the lookout for this guy.
Come on in.
It's now a plus that we know that Albert James has been shot, because he's going to need medical attention. So we notify all the hospitals that we're seeking an individual with a gunshot wound to the right forearm.
Where does Nathan live?
Apartment 111, I think.
Well, we appreciate you talking to us. Why don't you go ahead and get some rest? We may want to talk to you again.
If Nathan actively participated in a plot to gain entry, he's as responsible for the death of Clarence Branch as Albert James is. At this point, we don't know much about Nathan. If he worked with Albert to ambush Clarence, who's to say he wouldn't take out two detectives who show up at his door? We're gonna knock with our hands on our weapons, just in case we need them.
Whoa, everything okay? I was wondering when you guys were gonna be coming by. Come on in. You wanna know what I saw over at Clarence Branch's place, right?
So you admit you were there?
Yeah, man.
So in a surprising turn of events, Nathan is not only cooperative, but he's happy to speak to us.
I ain't got no car, and I needed to go see my uncle, so I was hoping to bum a ride off of Clarence. When I got up there, Clarence opens the door, and this guy comes out of nowhere and just blows right through me and into the apartment.
It's apparent from what Nathan says that Albert James took a moment of opportunity and he confronts Clarence.
I don't even know this guy, but he's like screaming at Clarence, and the next thing you know, I freaked out and got my ass out of there before I got shot too. I wasn't having no part of that.
So Nathan is not a participant. He's not a shill to open the door. He's not anything involving this offense. The story he tells and the story we know from other witnesses makes it perfectly believable that all he wants is a ride. So Nathan is out. We don't charge him with anything.
All right, Nathan. Appreciate the help.
Yeah, man. Whatever you need.
Go for Kenda.
So we've pretty much washed our hands of Nathan when I get a radio call.
I understand you're looking for a suspect named Albert James in connection with a shooting.
10-4, that's correct.
It's the sheriff's department, and what they tell me is exactly what I was hoping to hear. We're investigating the death of Clarence Branch by gunshot. We've just been told by the sheriff's department that the perfect person has come into our hands.
I understand you're looking for a suspect named Albert James in connection with a shooting.
10-4, that's correct.
Well, it looks like he turned himself in.
Did you say turned himself in?
He walks in and announces to the deputy behind the counter, "I've been shot and I have a gun." The deputy says, "Get on your knees," and they take him to the hospital to treat his wound.
10-4, we'll head over to the hospital and take it from there. Kenda out.
The deputy disarms him for the .25 caliber pistol in his pocket. Then they take him to the hospital to treat his wound. So let's go talk to the man and see what he has to say.
Mr. James, we're here to talk about what happened between you and Clarence Branch.
Albert James is hurting, but he's basically going to be fine. We advise him of his rights. He waives and launches into a story.
Clarence, he owed my girlfriend some money. So I went over there to talk to him about it, but when I got there, it just got so violent.
He says Clarence pulls him inside his apartment.
Clarence had this tight hold on me. And his wife, she just came and shot me for God's sake. I got the gun, we started struggling, and it just went off.
Just went off, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
His story is the transparent iced tea story, about as weak as they get.
Well, we've got reports of you telling people you're going to kill Clarence over this debt. What do you have to say about that?
And he looks at both of us for a few seconds and says,
"I want my lawyer."
That's fine. You're going to need one.
Yo! Yo! I didn't do it!
Albert James can say whatever he likes, but it's established by the witness statements that Albert has an abiding hatred for Clarence Branch. Why would any reasonable person believe that Albert James has had a change of heart and now he's going to be a priest when he goes to see Clarence Branch? That is unadulterated bullshit.
Even though Albert James isn't talking, there's one person who might be willing to set the record straight. Albert's girlfriend, Cassie Davis.
So we understand there was some sort of debt?
This is so stupid. Clarence owed me some money for some babysitting I did.
She says she babysat for 3 children. 2 belong to Clarence, 1 belongs to Cheryl.
So how were they?
They were great, no problems at all.
All right, cool. Thanks for the help, Cassie.
Cheryl gave me 10, but it's gonna be 20 for the other 2.
Can I pay you later? Look, I ain't got the cash on me right now, and... Come on, Cass. Look, I'll get it to you this week. I promise I'm good for it.
Okay.
Cool, thanks.
Then the week came and went and he never paid. I told Albert and he got very upset. And he tried to get the money from Clarence.
Albert, yo, what's going on, man?
You have the money you owe Cassie?
What?
What do you mean for what?
Oh, man. I forgot about that, yo. Let me get it to you this week, okay?
No. We waited long enough. You're gonna give me that money now.
You ain't gonna come up with my house telling me what to do, all right? She'll get her money when I get it to her.
I'm gonna get that money now.
Words are exchanged, threats are made, but it's all verbal. Nobody's hitting anybody, nobody's shoving anybody. It's just all verbal confrontation.
And then a week later, I saw Clarence in the parking lot. And I asked him again about my money.
Clarence! What's up with the money?
Look, I already told your pain-in-the-ass husband, you'll get your money when I'm ready to give it to you.
Look, I know it's only $20, but we're really tight on cash right now.
Get the hell out the way, Cassie.
Please, Clarence.
I said move.
Clarence shoves her backwards, almost knocks her over. This starts out as a $20 debt. It ends up being far more than that.
I never should have told Albert, but I did, and he lost it. He ended up storming out.
Kenda can fill in the blanks as to what transpired next.
Albert James is determined to take revenge on Clarence Branch, not just for the money, but primarily for touching his wife. Clarence crossed the line, and Albert was gonna get even.
What's up, man? Look, I know it's kind of late, but I was wondering if I could get a ride to my uncle's.
Yeah, sure, I don't see why not. But the problem is, whoa, Albert.
I know you messed up, you punk bitch.
Hey, man, what's up, man? Just relax.
Albert James takes advantage of the moment, rushes into the apartment, and physically confronts Clarence.
Hey, Cheryl, get the gun, relax.
Get out!
You ain't gonna shoot nobody.
Get out!
Shoot.
He screams in pain and takes the gun away from her. Albert James fired one shot into Clarence Branch's chest. At the autopsy, we discover that bullet went in one side of his heart and out the other. That will do it.
Albert James is charged with second-degree murder, but he ultimately takes a plea deal for the lesser charge of reckless manslaughter and is sentenced to 10 years behind bars.
This isn't a crime of passion, it's a crime of rage. There's a difference. And Albert engages in that, and it winds up in the death of Clarence Branch. You get involved in emotional circumstances, be very careful. Don't allow something that's minor become something major. If you let it fester, you let it simmer, it could evolve into something that takes your life away from you.
Coming up,
What's going on?
a hail of bullets raining from the sky propels Kenda and 2 young officers into a mind-blowing investigation.
This case was a simple case, but it was so incredibly rare and so different that it is something you always remember.
John Pellegrino was doing something that we all do, warming up a cup of coffee in the microwave. As the coffee's heating up,
What the hell's going on?
He didn't know what was going on at first, and then realized it was gunshots coming into his house.
Across town, Officer Kenda is stuck refereeing a less urgent conflict.
She's about my height, brown hair, teeth like a horse. Shouldn't you be writing this down?
I think we're okay, ma'am.
So you're gonna find her and arrest her, right?
At this particular time, I was not in investigations. I was in patrol, and much of work in patrol can be quite mundane.
Can't you see? This car is in my driveway.
I tried to tell her.
This woman calls the police because she is enraged that her neighbor is blocking her driveway with his car.
It doesn't look like it's in your driveway.
I measured, and it is over the line by 2 inches.
A whole 2 inches.
So what I suggest you do is put your tape measure back in your toolbox and go back to whatever it is you were doing.
I pay your salary, you know.
And I appreciate that. You have a wonderful day, ma'am.
So to protect and serve, was that protecting or serving?
And the officer involved was a fellow named Dave Felice, very sharp guy. He was frustrated when we walked back to our cars and he said, look, don't we have something we can do that's like police work?
Come on. What we're doing is essential to a functioning society.
4 Paul 1, we have a code 3.
4 Paul 1 en route.
And I looked at him and I thought, well, here, you wanted action? Here you go.
At the location, Kenda and Felice meet up with Officer Ralph Bruning, another young patrolman assigned to Kenda's sector.
Oh my God, I think somebody's trying to kill me.
Okay. Is there anyone in the house?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I was alone when the shooting started.
All right, stay here.
We still don't know where these shots came from or if there are going to be more of them.
Police!
So we go in the house, guns drawn.
Show yourself!
Your initial arrival at the scene of a shooting is the most dangerous time for police. If there's going to be shooting, it's going to be right now.
All clear. Same here.
Look at this place.
Damn.
The only room that really suffered damage was the kitchen. All the windows were shot out, all the cabinets were destroyed, the appliances had holes in them. It looked like a war zone.
Okay, let's go talk to the homeowner. See what the hell happened here.
One of the first things that you'd want to find out is why John Pellegrino. What is it about him that would have caused somebody to shoot at his house this many times?
It's clear. So what exactly happened here?
Man, I wish I knew. I mean, one minute I was standing there getting my coffee, and the next I was on the floor dodging bullets. It was crazy.
They find out that John Pellegrino has a military history, and when shots start firing around him, he does what you do instinctively as a soldier. You basically fall to the ground and starts crawling away, trying to get help.
Any idea who'd want to take a shot at you?
No. I mean, I wish I knew. Is it safe for me to go back in?
Well, it's safe, but we still need to process the house for evidence. You might want to use your neighbor's phone and call your insurance guy.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I'll do that now. Thank you.
I'll call and get the detectives to come out.
Who says we need detectives? I think we can handle this.
Really?
Come on, let's take a look inside.
Bruning and Felice lit up like Christmas bulbs. They were thrilled at the idea of doing something besides measuring the bumper of a car 2 inches over some crazy lady's driveway. The advantage I had in using my officers instead of detectives is no one's hurt. It becomes a property crime, and property detectives do not respond to scenes. They're too busy.
Inside the home, Kenda walks the officers through the evidence in the kitchen.
This was an opportunity for me to teach and to train these two guys and how to think like a detective. What do we think, and why do we think that?
Okay, gentlemen, what do you see?
It's like a hell of a lot of shots.
Over 100 rounds have been fired into this kitchen.
Can you tell the caliber?
Looks like 22s.
Which indicated that it most likely was being fired from some type of rifle.
So whoever did this was trying like hell to take our guy out.
Are you sure about that? And don't you think it's a bit odd with this many shots fired, none of them hit the homeowner? What's about that?
I said, think about it. What if he's not the target? We don't know what it is. But I don't think it's focused on him.
Kenda and his officers venture into the backyard in search of more clues.
Hey, Kenda, these holes in the top of this fence look like bullet holes.
Yeah, now we just need to find out exactly where they came from. Yeah, we need to get the lab out here to help us with this.
Dispatch, East Start Crime Lab.
The lab techs have tools that officers in the field don't carry with them when they're out on patrol. They're going to be key in helping us assess what exactly is going on here.
A lab tech arrives within the hour, and with her help, Kenda hopes to determine the precise angle by which the bullet struck the fence.
CSI trucks carry a dowel rod of various sizes, and they're designed to tell you angle of fire and caliber from bullet damage. We know it's 22, so we take 22 sticks, insert those sticks in the bullet holes in the fence.
Take another look at the holes, boys.
What do you see? Well, they're all coming down. Exactly. They're not coming across. They're not horizontal. They're at a 30-degree angle downward.
So basically, these rounds were losing steam before they hit inside and out here.
You got it, police.
These bullets are almost out of gas by the time they arrive in this kitchen. They still have enough punch to cause a lot of damage, but they're a long way away when they're being fired. So whatever they're shooting at isn't this guy. It's collateral damage. They're shooting at something else.
So if the homeowner wasn't the target, who was?
And who pulled the trigger?
I looked at both of them and I said, that, gentlemen, is what we have to learn. So we're investigating this incident in which over 100 shots are fired into somebody's house. 30-degree down angle, where did they come from? And that is the new question.
Kenda uses a pair of binoculars to scan the area for clues.
Bingo, there's our target.
Really?
Yeah, have a look yourself.
A few hundred yards away, there is a 25-foot telephone pole with a streetlight attached.
Okay, I see the street light, but so what? Wait a minute. Oh, is that a bullet hole in it?
I said, there's your target. Someone shooting at the light from the other side of that area. And all he can see is the light because that ground is mounded. So it's an up angle from the guy's backyard and a down angle from the other side.
How the hell are we supposed to know where those rounds came from?
Hey, I know an engineer company around the corner. Maybe they could help.
That'd be great. Let's find out.
I'm on it.
In all the years I was a policeman, if you approach someone and you ask them for their help, they're going to provide it. Everyone wants to help the police. They really do. Most of the world is just fine. There's only a small percentage of it that isn't fine.
Dr. Kenda, it's Michael Orr from the engineering company I told you about.
It's good to meet you.
Also, Burning said that you were trying to determine the point of origin for some bullets that landed here.
Oh, that's correct.
Okay, we just need whatever information you can give us, types of ammunition, that sort of thing.
They have the bullet, so they know the bullet's mass. They have what type of gun was used, and so this is like a physics problem, kind of a math problem to figure out.
They're working away with their pads and their little computers that they've got. They've got measurements and are taking laser beam shots and they're going crazy. Studying the angle of incoming bullets, and they've got that all worked out.
Hey, Sergeant, you want to come here? I think we have something.
What is it?
Your point of origin is a half-mile away, here, on Woodman Valley Road.
Are you sure of that?
I'll stake our professional reputation on it.
Well, that's good enough for me. Thank you, sir.
So they pack up all their toys and go back to work. And I sit Bruning and Felice down. So it's okay.
Now, what type of person would be out on a Saturday morning shooting at a lamppost and not think twice about where the bullets are landing?
I don't know, a kid maybe?
Now you're thinking. Hey, come on, let's head over to Woodman Valley Road.
We drive over with our map of Woodman Valley Road at the exact spot where we should be. There's a woman unloading her groceries out of the back of an SUV.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Is something wrong?
By chance you have a minor living here with you?
Yes, my 15-year-old son's inside with his friend.
Does he have access to a gun?
Yes, actually, he does.
This woman then assured Sergeant Kenda that her son would not have been firing the gun when she wasn't home.
Would you mind if we spoke with your son and his friend?
No, that's fine.
Oh, would you also mind if we looked around your backyard while we wait?
Oh, no, go ahead. I'll bring him out here.
Thank you.
So we walked back there, and we immediately knew we were in the right spot.
Hey, guys. Look at them all.
There's a pile of over 100 expended .22 caliber casings. They're fresh and shiny.
You could tell that they had just recently been fired. And so it was a strong indication that this was a source of the gunfire.
I'll be damned. That's that same street light.
Both Bruning and Felice were just beaming. They thought that was the best day of their lives. Much better than measuring bumpers of cars.
This is my son, Jake. This is his friend, Tim.
So here comes this kid. He's white as a piece of paper and his shirt's bouncing because his heart's going 100 miles an hour.
You boys doing some target practice out here this morning?
No, sir. I'm not allowed to shoot my rifle without a parent present.
How do you explain those?
We did some shooting.
Jake, what were you thinking?
We were just messing around.
Well, you're messing around with a bunch of bullet holes in a man's house about a half mile from here. And you're extremely lucky he wasn't hit.
Oh, my God. I'm gonna be sick.
We didn't mean to do that. We were just trying to shoot the street light. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, officer.
Jake Ellis is a good kid. He's not a criminal. Just did a silly, stupid, kid-like thing.
Set out front. Let's go.
He got this gun from his grandfather. He was enamored of it. Well, once you have it, you've got to try it out if you're a kid. And that's exactly what he did. So here's another kid. Bring your rifle. We're going to have a good time.
Oh, dang it.
So from where Jake and Tim were shooting, they were shooting in an upward direction towards the streetlight. And once the bullets essentially passed the streetlights, they lost momentum and then started to return to Earth, essentially.
What the hell?
What's going on here? Yes! Heck yeah!
Nice.
If I was John Pellegrino after this happened to me, I would go buy a lotto ticket because I would feel like I'm probably, at that moment, the luckiest man alive.
As for Jake Ellis and his friend Tim, they are about to learn a valuable lesson, courtesy of the Colorado Springs Police Department.
Go ahead and cuff him. And bring it back. Boys, what you did today was irresponsible and extremely dangerous. When you break the law, there's serious consequences.
We made it abundantly clear they could have taken a life with their silliness. We put them in the back of cruisers in handcuffs just for drill. We're not going to take them anywhere. But we made them believe they're on their way to Sing Sing.
What's gonna happen to us?
Well, that's up to the judge. But you could be facing some serious time.
They were in tears and about ready to throw up.
Did you guys learn your lesson?
Yes, sir.
Are you ever gonna do something like this again?
No, sir.
All right, come on out.
And then we took the handcuffs off and gave back to Mom. They needed some time to go change their pants anyway.
In addition to...
The night begins with a scream no one hears. A single flash of movement on a lonely Nevada highway, June of 1998, swallowed by wind, dust, and a silence so wide it feels like the desert itself is holding its breath. The police report will later call it a disturbance, a cold, vague term that never comes close to the truth. But for now, it is only a flicker, something quick, violent, and gone before anyone can decide if it was real. And that is where the cold case starts. A moment so brief it almost slips out of existence, except that it leaves behind a trail, a stain, a rip in the fabric of a quiet community that will never quite close again. It begins with headlights slicing the darkness, swaying slightly, like the driver is fighting something or someone inside the car. Locals heading north remember the sedan drifting across the center line, then jerking back like a puppet pulled by an angry string. They remember the car speeding up, vanishing behind a curve near the old mining road. After that, the desert takes over. The wind picks up. The dust swirls. And whatever happened out there disappears into a long, empty night. At sunrise, the quiet breaks. A rancher finds the car first. A pale blue Ford Taurus, door open, engine still ticking with leftover heat. It isn't crashed. It's simply stopped in the middle of nowhere, like the driver stepped out for a breath of air and never came back. But the scene is wrong in a way no one can describe at first glance. The seatbelt is torn, hanging like a severed limb. The passenger window is cracked from the inside, and on the gravel a few feet away, there is a smear of something dark, something that has seeped down into the desert floor. The rancher calls 911 with a voice he tries to keep steady. He doesn't know yet that he has stumbled upon what reporters will one day call the most haunting cold case Nevada ever recorded. He doesn't know the name of the missing driver, or what she meant to people, or how the investigation will spiral into years of dead ends and sleepless nights. He only knows something terrible happened here, something he wants no part of. So he waits by the car, saying nothing, because the desert already feels like it's watching him. When deputies arrive, the first thing they notice is the silence. Not the ordinary desert stillness, but something deeper, something that settles on their shoulders like a warning. They step carefully around the car, taking photographs, marking the strange, scattered footprints that lead nowhere. The sun climbs higher, and with it comes a feeling that the scene is evaporating before their eyes, the evidence drying into uselessness with every passing minute. They finally open the trunk expecting luggage, tools, anything normal. Yet instead they find only an empty tire well and a faint chemical smell that no one can identify. But the breakthrough comes when one deputy reads the name on the registration. Emily Carter, age 27, local, known in town for her kindness, her soft voice, her habit of helping elderly neighbors without waiting for thanks. A woman who should not be mixed up in something like this. A woman who, by all accounts, lived a quiet life without enemies, without secrets, or so everyone thought. Detectives move fast at first, because disappearances in small towns are like sparks in dry brush. They spread panic before dawn even ends. They sweep the highway, question the rancher, question everyone who passed that stretch of road the night before. But witnesses give fragments, contradictions, ghostly impressions. The car was weaving, one says. No, the driver looked calm, claims another. I think someone else was inside, says a trucker, then changes his mind. Maybe not. Every statement leads to another question, never an answer. Back at the scene, investigators discover something unsettling. On the back seat, tucked beneath a blanket, is Emily's purse. Nothing stolen, nothing missing. Except for one detail. Her driver's license is not inside. Instead, it is lying on the floor, snapped cleanly in half, as if broken between two hands in the middle of a struggle. The detectives exchange glances, their silence conveying what none of them want to say aloud. This was no roadside accident. Someone was here with her. Someone strong, someone desperate, someone who wanted to erase her. The search expands into the desert. Deputies on horseback, volunteers with flashlights, tracking dogs, straining against their leashes. They comb through brush and sage, through dry creek beds and old mining tunnels that smell of rust and loneliness. The dogs catch a scent once, following it for half a mile until it suddenly vanishes near a patch of churned sand. A helicopter sweeps overhead, dust swirling beneath its blades, but nothing moves, nothing stirs. It is as if Emily stepped off the earth and the desert swallowed her whole. The town reacts with fear, the sharp, bitter kind that spreads through rumor. People whisper about strange figures seen near the highway, about a man asking questions in bars, a man no one can identify. Others whisper about Emily herself. Maybe she had a secret. Maybe she wasn't who she seemed. Cold case. Mystery woman. Sudden disappearance. The headlines appear within days, rising like smoke. But detectives learn something else. Something that sends a ripple of unease through the entire investigation. The torn seatbelt isn't torn at all. It is cut, sliced cleanly by a blade. And the crack in the window lines up perfectly with a fist's impact, not an accident. This was a struggle inside a moving car, a violent one. And the more they uncover, the clearer it becomes. Emily didn't disappear. She was taken. Then comes the most chilling discovery. Under the driver's seat, wedged deep in the track, is a single strand of hair. Black, long. Not Emily's. At first, it seems like the breakthrough they need, the linchpin of the case. But when the lab runs it through every database available in 1998, the result is always the same. No match. The hair belongs to someone off the radar, someone invisible, someone who doesn't want to be found. The investigation grows colder by the week. Evidence dries up. Leads fade. Emily's family pleads for answers while detectives fight the creeping dread that they are losing the trail. One deputy admits later that he couldn't shake the feeling the case was too clean, as if someone had staged the scene to send a message or erase a bigger truth. Then rumors begin again. A trucker claims he saw a dark figure standing by the abandoned car around 2 in the morning. A motel clerk remembers a woman who looked like Emily checking in with a man, only later admitting she isn't sure. A waitress says Emily came in for breakfast the day before she vanished, nervous, glancing over her shoulder. None of these sightings can be verified. None lead anywhere. They simply add more noise, more layers to a story already drowning in contradiction. The sheriff holds a press conference, his voice heavy, asking the public for patience. But patience is not what the community feels. Shock, yes. Fear, absolutely. Mothers start driving their children to school instead of letting them walk. Neighbors form watch groups. Doors lock earlier. Lights stay on longer. The desert, once a peaceful backdrop, becomes a place people drive around instead of through, as if the wind itself carries the memory of Emily's disappearance. Detectives start digging deeper into her life, searching for something, anything, that might explain why a quiet woman in a quiet town ends up in the middle of a violent, inexplicable confrontation. They visit her workplace, her friends, her old classmates. They study her bank records, phone calls, emails, and they uncover nothing. No threats, no affairs, no secret debts, no double life. The absence of motive becomes the most disturbing clue of all. Then, one night, a deputy reviewing evidence notices something odd. In the early photographs of the scene, just beyond the car, almost invisible in the gravel, is a faint print, larger than Emily's, angled as if someone was dragging or carrying something heavy. The print leads into the desert, but before the search teams ever saw it, the wind erased the trail. They lost it before they even knew it existed. Weeks turn into months. Months eventually turn into years. The case goes cold. Officially, formally, brutally cold. The kind of cold where boxes gather dust and detectives whisper about it in hallways like a ghost story. The kind of cold that freezes time, turning a woman's life into a lingering question mark. Emily Carter becomes a headline, then a memory, then a cautionary tale parents murmur to their children. Her car is towed, stored, moved, forgotten. The strand of hair sits in a sealed envelope, untouched, unidentified, its story trapped in silence. And through it all, the desert waits, the wind sweeping across the place where it all began, as if daring anyone to remember what it saw. But the truth does not stay buried forever. Not in Nevada, not in 1998, and not in a case where the desert was not the only witness. Because years later, long after everyone has given up hope, one tiny piece of DNA will appear. And when it does, it won't answer questions. It will explode them, and it will stun every investigator who ever touched the file. Years pass in silence, the kind that settles like dust over every forgotten detail. Files shift from active desks to metal cabinets, then to the storage room where old cases sleep in rows of cardboard. The label, Carter Emily, 1998, fades along its edges, the ink turning soft, almost ghost-like. Detectives retire, new ones arrive, and the story becomes a whispered legend among rookies. But even as time moves forward, something in the town refuses to let the case die completely. Every few months, someone brings her name up again, at a diner booth, over beers, during a quiet drive past the highway where her car was found. There's always the same question, spoken with a helpless kind of dread. How does someone vanish like that, without a trace? But the desert remembers. The desert always remembers. It is late autumn when the first real movement in years begins. Not with a breakthrough, but with a mistake. A technician doing an audit of old evidence notes something unusual. The preserved hair sample found under Emily's seat was never entered into the upgraded DNA system that Nevada implemented in the mid-2000s. It's an oversight buried under years of shifting procedures and changing technology. At first, the technician considers writing it up as an administrative note. Cold cases rarely give anything back, but something, curiosity, boredom, instinct, pushes him to run it anyway. He places the sample into the queue, uploads the data, and sends it on its digital path. Days pass. Then weeks. Nothing. The system churns through thousands of entries, searching for patterns, for matches, for anything that aligns. The sample remains a ghost. Until one morning, a flag appears on the screen. A partial match, not perfect, but enough to hit the alert threshold. Enough to make the technician sit up in his chair. The match belongs to a man arrested 3 states away. A transient, known for petty theft, resisting arrest, trespassing. Nothing violent, nothing unusual, nothing that screams he could be involved in a decades-old disappearance, but he shares just enough markers to indicate a possible familial link. Brother, maybe, nephew, cousin, or something more distant. The technician forwards the result to the cold case unit with a note. Potential DNA connection to Carter case. Recommend review. The message lands on the desk of Detective Laura Hale, a woman who believes the past never truly ends, that cases don't get cold. They just wait for the right moment to thaw. Hale is methodical, relentless, the kind who reads old files like they're living things. She digs into the Carter case that same afternoon, spreading photographs across her desk, scanning statements, studying maps of the desert like an archaeologist searching for buried bones. She pauses longest on the image of the blue Ford Taurus, the open door, the cracked window, the torn seatbelt, the slender dark hair under the seat. Something about that strand of hair, preserved for decades, still carries the weight of a scream no one heard. Hale drives to evidence storage, retrieves the sealed envelope, and holds it up to the fluorescent light. Inside is a single thread of history, thin and fragile, a fragment of a story that refuses to vanish. She requests a modern, full-spectrum DNA test, something far more advanced than what existed in 1998. It will take several weeks, maybe months. But she feels the pull of it, the pulse of something waking, and the community, without knowing why, begins to feel it too. A local radio host mentions Emily on air during a slow news day. A new resident hears the story for the first time, looks up the old articles, and stares at the grainy photo of Emily's smiling face. Someone posts a thread online, asking if anyone remembers the disappearance. The responses come quickly. Vague memories, eerie stories, theories that never held water. People mention headlights drifting across the line, the scream the rancher thought he heard, the strange shadow near the mining road, all fragments, all disconnected, yet somehow alive again. Meanwhile, Hale keeps digging. She visits Emily's old neighborhood, now quieter, older, the houses bleached by sun. Many who knew Emily have moved away or passed on, but some remain, people who remember that summer vividly, as if it's carved into them. A former neighbor describes Emily as gentle, private, always helping others. Another recalls seeing her the night before she vanished, carrying groceries and smiling as she waved from her porch. But one woman, living 2 houses down, offers something new. Her voice shakes slightly as she speaks. The week before she disappeared, Emily told me she felt like someone was watching her. I told the police back then, but I don't know if it ever made it into the file. Hale's pulse quickens. She checks the report later, and the neighbor is right. The detail never made it in. Who was watching her? The question opens a door Hale can't ignore. She starts reviewing background checks for anyone who had crossed paths with Emily. Co-workers, old acquaintances, neighbors, service workers, anyone. Most appear perfectly ordinary. But then there is a name that catches her eye. A man who lived in town only briefly during the summer of 1998, renting a room behind a mechanic shop. His record is sparse, his identity blurry, his movements harder to trace. He left Nevada the same month Emily disappeared, and his listed employer claims he quit abruptly, without notice. Hale marks his name with a red pen. It is weak, circumstantial, fragile, but for a cold case, even a weak thread can become a rope. Before she can pursue the lead, the DNA test results arrive. It happens on a Friday evening, just as Hale is preparing to leave. An email notification blinks across her screen, the subject line simple but electric. Carter case, updated DNA analysis complete. She opens it, expecting maybe a confirmation of the partial match, or perhaps another dead end. Instead, the document reveals something entirely different, something no one predicted. The DNA from the hair belongs to a man who died in 2011, not the transient, not a family member, not someone drifting across state lines, stealing wallets and sleeping under bridges. This man had a stable address, a job, a clean record. He lived in Nevada during the 90s, and his name appears nowhere in the original investigation. Not once, not even in passing. It is as if he lived in the shadows of the case, close enough to leave DNA in Emily's car, yet far enough to avoid every question, every interview, every suspect list. Hale stares at the name, her heartbeat thudding in her ears. She checks the records twice, then a third time. No mistake. The man died more than a decade ago from a workplace accident, crushed by fallen equipment in what was ruled a tragic mishap. But his death is not what shocks Hale most. What shocks her is the address he listed in 1998, a small, run-down home just 3 miles from where Emily's car was found. 3 miles, close enough to walk, close enough to stalk, close enough to take someone into the desert without anyone noticing. Hale drives to the address that night. The house is abandoned now, boards over the windows, weeds twisting up through the gravel. She parks, steps out, and feels the desert wind press against her, the same wind that once erased footprints leading away from Emily's car. The air smells old, stale, like secrets that never decayed properly. She circles the house with her flashlight, the beam cutting across rusted metal and broken fencing. At the back, she finds something unexpected, an old shed, padlocked but rotting at the edges. The wood splinters under her touch. She pushes the door open. Inside, dust coats everything in a soft, ghostly layer. Tools hang on nails. A workbench sits beneath a cracked window, and in one corner, nearly buried under debris, is a small, dented metal box. She kneels, she lifts it. It is surprisingly heavy. Inside are papers, yellowed, brittle, edges curling from years of desert heat. Receipts, letters, photographs, personal odds and ends from a life no one ever thought to examine. And then there is something else. A Nevada highway map from 1998, unfolded and marked with red pen. Circles, arrows, numbers. And one circle stands out, the exact spot where Emily's abandoned car was discovered. Hale's breath catches. Her mind races. If this man marked that location, if he left hair in her car, if he lived so close, then he wasn't a stranger. He wasn't random. He was involved. But why wasn't he found? Why wasn't he questioned? Why did he never appear in any interview, any record, any witness statement? Was he hiding, or was someone hiding him? Hale steps out of the shed and stares into the desert darkness. The silence feels heavier now, as if the desert is finally releasing a secret it held for far too long. Because if this man took Emily, if he was in the car with her, then the story everyone thought they knew is only the surface. And somewhere beneath that surface, something else is waiting. Something deeper, darker, and far more dangerous. A cold case doesn't thaw without consequences, and this one has just opened its eyes. The night after Detective Laura Hale finds the marked map, sleep feels impossible. She lies awake, replaying every detail, the circled highway, the abandoned house, the dead man whose DNA lingered under Emily Carter's seat like a silent confession. But the more she thinks about him, the more the questions multiply. How did he get inside Emily's car? Why was he never identified? And why did a man with no criminal record, no known history of violence, leave behind evidence that ties him to one of the most haunting disappearances in Nevada's history? By dawn, she is back at her desk, the old case file open like a wound. She turns to the man's name again. Daniel Rourke, age 32 in 1998, a maintenance worker at an industrial warehouse. Ordinary. Unremarkable. Invisible. The kind of person no one remembers until a detective asks. She digs deeper into his employment history, his address records, his pay stubs, his tax filings. Everything is painfully normal. Too normal. His life reads like a straight line, without deviation, without noise. Yet a man like that doesn't end up leaving DNA in a missing woman's car by accident. Hale requests access to Rourke's old personnel file. It arrives later that morning, thin, plain, dull. But tucked inside, she finds something that tightens her chest. A disciplinary note from June 1998. The date is smudged, but legible. Rourke had arrived at work late 3 times in a row, looking disheveled, distracted, even agitated. His supervisor noted deep scratches on his arm and neck. When asked about them, Rourke claimed he had fallen while doing repairs at home. The supervisor wasn't convinced, but let it go. The note is dated 2 days after Emily disappeared. Hale memorizes the details, her mind already spinning threads between the scratches, the map, the DNA. She calls the supervisor, now retired in Arizona, and the old man's voice trembles when she mentions Rourke. "I always thought something was off with him," he murmurs, almost relieved to finally say it aloud. Quiet, polite, never caused trouble. But that week, he was different, nervous, like he was expecting someone to show up and confront him. "Did anyone?" Hale asks. A long pause crackles across the line. No, but he kept watching the door, every time it opened. She ends the call with a sinking feeling. Rourke was hiding something, or from someone, but hiding from guilt or from danger. The line between predator and prey is never as clear as people want to believe. She drives next to the forensic archives, requesting Rourke's autopsy from 2011. The death was ruled accidental. Equipment collapse, blunt force trauma, no signs of foul play. But as she reads, a detail leaps off the page. Rourke's left ulna had a healed fracture from years earlier, estimated around the late 1990s. The same time frame as Emily's disappearance. The medical examiner noted it was consistent with a defensive injury. Someone hit him. Hard enough to break bone, hard enough to leave a memory that never made it into any police report. The pieces begin to shift. If Rourke hurt Emily, who hurt him, and why? The questions drive her back into the desert, back to the abandoned house where she found the map. She arrives just as the sun dips low, painting the sky in violent streaks of red and gold. The house looms like a skeleton, its windows shows blackened voids, staring out at the world with mute accusation. She moves carefully, stepping through brittle brush and broken fence posts, each crack of debris underfoot echoing across the property. Inside the shed, she examines the metal box again, this time looking for anything she might have missed. The way the papers are folded, the dust patterns, the old rust stains. She photographs everything. She lifts the highway map with gloves, flattening it against a plywood beam. The pen marks are frantic, quick, almost obsessive. Several locations are circled: the highway turnout, a dried-up creek bed, and the entrance to a narrow canyon known locally as Ridgeway Hollow. Hale's flashlight catches the edge of something else on the map, a faint fingerprint in faded grease. She snaps a photo, noting it for lab comparison. If it isn't Rourke's, then the circle of suspects widens. She drives to Ridgeway Hollow the next morning. It is a claustrophobic slice of land, boxed in by jagged rock walls that rise like broken teeth. The wind funnels through the narrow corridor, carrying with it the metallic scent of minerals. Hale parks, steps out, and feels a strange pressure, an instinctive awareness that this place has been walked before by someone who didn't want to be followed. She hikes deeper into the canyon. The air grows cooler. Shadows lengthen even though it is still early in the day. Then she sees it, a faint indentation in the ground, almost perfectly rectangular. She kneels, brushing away dust and pebbles. The indentation becomes clearer, sharper, unmistakable. It is the mark left by a large container of some kind, long removed but once heavy enough to compress the earth beneath. The indentation is old, 2 decades at least. Was it a storage trunk? A crate? Something used to transport? What? She circles the area, searching for landmarks, disturbed soil, anything her instincts tug toward. Behind a cluster of boulders, she finds a scattering of charred debris, burnt paper, melted plastic, and fragments of metal warped by fire. Someone tried to destroy something here, someone who didn't want whatever it was to be found. She crouches closer, examining the ash, the soot patterns, the way the materials curled inward as they burned. It was a controlled fire, she realizes. Intentional. Not an accident. She picks up a piece of warped metal, half melted but still recognizable, a corner of what looks like a lock mechanism. A lock from a trunk? A metal case? Something that might have held evidence? Something someone desperately wanted to erase. She photographs everything, cataloging each piece before placing it gently in an evidence bag. Something about the fire's location bothers her, though. It is hidden, yes, but the scorch marks on one rock face stretch in a direction that suggests someone shielded the flames from view, angling metal sheets or boards around it like makeshift blinds. Someone burned something here while trying to stay invisible. She hikes further into the canyon, feeling watched even though she is alone. The walls narrow, then widen again into a strange pocket, a natural chamber carved by centuries of erosion. The acoustics shift immediately, sound bouncing back in eerie distortion. In the center of this chamber, the sand has been disturbed, not recently, but not ancient either. Hale kneels again, running her hand across the surface. This is where the dogs lost Emily's scent in 1990. The realization punches through her. The desert didn't swallow her. Someone brought her here, and then moved her again. The canyon is too quiet now, too cold. Hale stands slowly, turning in a full circle. She feels the presence of the past pressing against her, whispering around her like the wind. Whatever happened here, it wasn't random. Rourke didn't pick this spot on a whim. Someone guided him, or forced him. Back at the station, Hale dives deeper into Rourke's past. She searches for friends, relatives, co-workers, anyone connected to him. Most connections are thin, surface level. But one name keeps appearing. Grant Harlow, a co-worker from 1997 to 1999. Their pay schedules overlap perfectly. Their addresses place them in the same neighborhood. And most interesting of all, Harlow disappeared from Nevada just months after Rourke died in 2011. No forwarding address, no trace. Gone like a shadow slipping behind a door. Hale pulls his file. Harlow was taller than Rourke, broader, stronger. No criminal record. Worked the night shift often. And his handwriting on an old warehouse sign-in sheet has a peculiar loop in the letter R, a loop identical to the one on the highway map. The air thickens around her. Harlow knew Rourke. Harlow handled the map. If Rourke died with secrets buried in the desert, Harlow might be the one who buried them deeper. She runs Harlow's name through every database, but the results are barren. His digital footprint vanishes after 2011. No employment records, no change of address, no tax filings, no credit activity. It's as if he stepped off the world, or someone helped him disappear. Hale leans back, rubbing her forehead. The case is shifting again, bending into shapes she didn't expect. Rourke may have been involved in Emily's disappearance, but he wasn't the architect. Someone else was there. Someone else guided him, silenced him, and erased the traces left behind. She replays every discovery in her mind. The scratches on Rourke's arms, the broken ulna, the abandoned fire site, the marked map. The second set of fingerprints, the missing man. The canyon wasn't a dumping ground. It was a meeting place, a handoff, a crossroads where Rourke's fate was sealed long before his accidental death, and Emily's fate. Her fate might still be out there, hidden beneath layers of desert silence and a web of fear that stretched across decades. Hale whispers into the empty room, almost refusing her own words. This wasn't one man, it was two, and somewhere she knows one of them is still out there. The revelation that there were two men, one dead, one vanished, changes everything. It's no longer just a cold case. It's the unraveling of a conspiracy buried beneath decades of silence. Detective Laura Hale feels the shift like a tremor under her feet, subtle but unmistakable, a warning that the ground beneath this investigation is beginning to crack open. The more she studies the old maps, the canyon ash, the fingerprints, the unemployment records, the more she senses the presence of a second shadow behind Daniel Rourke. A shadow shaped like a man who walked out of Nevada in 2011 and never came back. Grant Harlow, a name that looks bland on paper, but the missing years around him pulse with danger. Hale knows men like him don't just evaporate. They drift with purpose. They hide with intent. They insulate themselves behind layers of new addresses, new faces, new lies. And men like that rarely run unless someone is chasing them, or unless they are running from what they did. She returns to the warehouse where Rourke and Harlow once worked. The building is still standing, a massive concrete husk clinging to the edge of the industrial district like a relic that refuses to rot. She steps through the front entrance, breathing in the scent of old oil and rust. A foreman, grey-haired and wary, escorts her through narrow hallways and dim storage rooms until the past begins to echo. "He and Rourke?" the foreman says when asked about Harlow. "Always together, worked the same shifts, took the same lunch breaks. Not friends exactly, more like partners, like they understood something no one else did." Hale feels a prickle along her arms. Partners. She asks if anyone noticed strange behavior in the summer of 1998. The foreman thinks for a moment, face tightening with memory. "Rourke acted nervous. We all noticed. Harlow? He was the opposite. Calm. Too calm. Like he knew something was going to happen, and he'd already accepted it." Accepted what, Hale wonders. The foreman walks her through the old locker room. Most lockers stand open now, emptied years ago, but Harlow's locker door remains closed, its metal warped with age. When Hale pulls it open, dust spills out in a soft cloud. There's nothing inside, no clothes, no notes, no remnants of a life. But etched into the inside of the door is a series of scratches. Vertical lines, uneven, carved with something sharp. A tally? A message? Or just idle vandalism from bored workers? She photographs it anyway. Nothing in a cold case is meaningless. She steps back, scanning the rows of lockers, the shadows between them, the faint echo of footsteps that don't belong to her. Something about this place feels wrong. Not haunted, but waiting, as if the walls still remember the secrets whispered here when no one else was listening. Back at the station, Hale spreads her findings across her desk. A map of Nevada pinned to the wall, the marked highway turnout circled in red, Ridgeway Hollow highlighted in yellow, the warehouse zone in blue, 3 points forming a crooked triangle, a shape that looks accidental until she traces the distances between them. Each point is a short drive from the others. Each point sits along an old service road no longer maintained by the state. She leans back, eyes narrowing. Ridgeway Hollow wasn't chosen for convenience. It was chosen because the roads around it could be traveled unseen. She studies Harlow's last known address again. A trailer on the outskirts of town, barely held together by patched siding and rusted bolts. She visits it the next morning. The property is abandoned now, swallowed by weeds and dust, but the trailer creaks as she pushes the door open, complaining in a long, metallic groan. Inside, the air hangs heavy with old mildew and something else, something faintly chemical. The smell of solvents, maybe, or cleaning agents stronger than anything a man like Harlow would need. She moves slowly, sweeping her flashlight over peeling wallpaper, broken furniture, jagged edges of shattered glass. Then something catches her eye beneath a loose floorboard, a small scrap of paper, yellowed and curled. She lifts it with tweezers. On it is a number, and beneath it, a single word scrawled in messy block letters. Turnout. Her chest tightens. She photographs it, bags it, logs the location. The word is too specific to be random. Too tied to the place where Emily vanished. Too deliberate. Someone wrote this as a reminder, or a warning, or a confession never mailed. A creak behind her snaps her attention to the doorway. She spins, hand on her weapon, but there's no one there. Only the wind pushing the trailer door gently back and forth, as if something unseen slipped through it moments before. She steps outside quickly, scanning the empty lot. Dust swirls. A tumbleweed rolls lazily across the dirt. No footsteps, no movement, no intruder. But Hale knows she felt something, a presence, or maybe just the weight of her own fear building in the cracks of this investigation. She drives back to Ridgeway Hollow that afternoon, this time with a metal detector and a deeper sense of purpose. Hours pass in silence. She sweeps the rocky ground, listening to the machine's steady hum, watching the sun arc slowly across the canyon walls. Then, near the place where she found the charred metal fragments, the detector chirps sharply. Her pulse jumps. She kneels, brushing away the top layer of sand. The detector chirps again, louder this time. She digs with gloved hands until her fingers strike something solid. When she uncovers it, she stares in stunned disbelief. A small metal badge. Old, burnt, the emblem warped by heat, but the outline is unmistakable. A security badge, the kind issued by warehouses and industrial yards. The kind issued by the place where Rourke and Harlow worked. Her breath catches in the quiet canyon. She lifts the badge into the sunlight, examining the melted edges, the faded barcode, the melted clip. This wasn't lost. It wasn't dropped. It was burned, intentionally, along with whatever else once sat inside that metal box. Someone tried to erase their involvement, someone who had access to the badge, someone like Harlow. The realization hits her like a blow, but before she can process it, the wind shifts, carrying a sound that freezes her blood. Not wind, not animals. Footsteps. Slow, crunching gravel behind her. She turns sharply. Nothing. The canyon stands empty, yawning open with ancient indifference, but the footsteps came from somewhere, and the canyon walls distort sound in strange ways. She listens, breath held, waiting for another noise. Nothing, just the wind again. She backs away slowly, refusing to turn her back until she reaches her vehicle. She locks the doors, heart hammering, and pulls out of Ridgeway Hollow as dust swirls violently in her wake. Back at the station, she runs the badge number through every record available. It belonged to a night shift employee. Not Rourke, not Harlow. A third man, a man named Caleb Renteria. Hale feels the ground shift again. Another ghost surfaces. Another thread in a web that has grown far bigger than one missing woman. She pulls Renteria's records. Spotty employment history, no criminal background, last known address in a mining town abandoned long ago. And then, buried in his file, a notation from 1999. Employee resigned unexpectedly, moved out of state. No further contact. 3 men, 1 woman, 1 desert, and a silence that lasted decades. The case has stopped being a straight line. It is now a maze with intersections she never knew existed. 3 co-workers. 1 disappears in 1998, 1 dies in 2011, 1 burns his badge and vanishes from state records. Had they been working together? Had Rourke been the weak link? Someone coerced or manipulated? Someone who broke his arm fighting back? Someone who was eventually silenced? And Emily? What did she stumble into? What did she see? Hale spreads the maps across her desk again, dragging a pen across the triangle of locations until something hits her. The triangle isn't random. The warehouse, the turnout, and Ridgeway Hollow form a route that avoids all major roads, a route used by maintenance crews for years, a route that someone familiar with the industrial grid would know intimately. This wasn't a crime of passion. It was a coordinated operation, a handoff in the desert, a fire to destroy evidence, a body moved, a witness eliminated, a member of the group punished for breaking rank, a survivor escaping into obscurity. Harlow didn't run because he was guilty. He ran because someone else was, someone who might still be out there, someone who never left Nevada. Hale whispers into the empty room, feeling the truth settle on her like dust. There weren't 2 men. Her voice trembles just slightly. There were 3, and somewhere in the desert's vast silence, one of them is still alive and listening. The realization that 3 men were tied to Emily Carter's disappearance, each one slipping through the cracks of time like ghosts, lands on Detective Laura Hale with a weight she can feel in her bones. It changes the air around her, sharpens every instinct, turns every shadow into a possibility. 3 men, 3 paths diverging after one night in 1998. 1 dead, 1 vanished, 1 hiding in plain sight, or perhaps buried where no one has looked. But the question that now claws at her is not who they were. It's why Emily. Why a soft-spoken woman with no enemies, no debts, no double life? Why a woman who went to work, came home, cared for her neighbors, and never once appeared on law enforcement's radar? Cold cases rarely hinge on chaos. They hinge on connection, and Hale knows she's missing the connection. She starts with the newest thread. Caleb Renteria, the man whose burned badge was found in Ridgway Hollow. His employment file is small, almost flimsy, but something about him stands out immediately. He worked the night shift only during the summer of 1998, just 1 season, 1 brief window in time, and then his trail vanishes. No forwarding address, no relatives listed, no digital footprint after 2001. It's as if he stepped into Nevada for a single purpose and then evaporated into the desert air. Hale flips through archived employee logs, payroll slips, maintenance schedules, anything that might show how Renteria crossed paths with Harlow and Rourke. The records reveal that the 3 men often clocked in together. Their routes, assignments, and duties overlapped with unsettling precision. They spent hours on the road, repairing fences, checking remote utility stations, patrolling service roads that cut through empty land where no one would hear a scream. 3 men with access to secluded routes. 3 men who knew where to hide without being found. She runs their names together through old state records, old leases, traffic stops, citations, utility bills, any glimmer of overlap. Late that night, something finally surfaces. A shared P.O. box rented in 1997 for 6 months. The box was closed before Emily vanished, the contents unknown, the reason for its existence unclear. Renters were listed only by initials: G.H., D.R., C.R. Hale sits back, the hair on her arms rising. Whatever tied these men together existed before Emily disappeared. This wasn't random. This wasn't spontaneous. Something was already brewing in the background, something they didn't want anyone to see. She digs deeper. In the P.O. box rental form, a 4th initial appears briefly. Not part of the lease, not authorized, but scribbled in the margin as if someone had considered adding it, then changed their mind. H.C. Hale circles the initials, her thoughts churning. Who was H.C.? Another worker? A planner? A witness? Someone who bailed before things escalated? She searches the warehouse directory, flipping page after page until she sees it. Henry Calhoun, a janitor employed for only 4 months in 1997. His file is thin, no notes, no disciplinary actions, no photo. He left abruptly. His exit interview is missing, and he was never mentioned again. Hale feels the first tremor of something bigger, darker, more organized. 4 men connected, only 3 traced. 1 unnamed, 1 vanished, 1 dead, 1 unknown. What were you? She whispers to the photo of the Nevada desert. A crew, a ring, a pact, or something far more unsettling, a pattern. She revisits the canyon debris. The burnt lock, the melted metal, the warped fragments of something destroyed. What if the metal box once held more than personal scraps? What if it held maps, schedules, photos, notes, anything that could tie them together, anything that could expose a plan? And what if destroying that evidence was the only way to survive? Her mind races back to the autopsy report. Rourke had a broken ulna, defensive injury. He fought someone. Hard. Who? Harlow, Renteria, Calhoun, or someone whose name isn't yet known. She returns to Ridgway Hollow at dawn, this time with a larger forensic team. The rising sun paints the canyon walls gold, but the beauty is lost on her. The desert looks like a trap, a place where things disappear without resistance. Technicians sweep the area with precision, marking soil variations, analyzing burn patterns, digging deeper into ground that hasn't been disturbed in 20 years. Hours pass. Then a tech calls out sharply, voice echoing off the stone. "Detective, you need to see this." Hale jogs to the far wall of the natural chamber, the one where the acoustics distort sound. The tech kneels beside a shallow depression in the rock. Something metallic glints beneath a thin crust of sand. Hale kneels, brushes the surface. It's a key, old, rusted, stamped with the letters WRC. She frowns. WRC. No local landmark, no business she recognizes. She pockets it carefully, promising herself she will find out what it unlocks. The tech isn't done. He hands her another item, a piece of cloth, faded beyond color, edges torn. But woven into the fabric is a pattern, a familiar one. The striped pattern used on security jackets for night shift personnel at the warehouse. Rourke wore one, Harlow wore one, Renteria wore one. This was theirs. She stands in the center of the canyon chamber, her chest tightening as she feels the weight of the past press in around her. This place wasn't just a disposal site. It was a rendezvous point, a planning ground, a crossroads where something happened, something violent, chaotic, and irreversible. The deeper she digs, the darker the story grows. She returns to the station, key in hand, mind spiraling. She searches databases for WRC. It takes hours, but eventually, buried in old county property logs, she finds it. Warren Ridge Cabins, a cluster of remote structures built in the 70s for miners and hunters, abandoned for years, located on the far side of Ridgeway Hollow, close enough to access on foot, far enough that no one would wander there accidentally. Hale drives out immediately, stopping only to notify dispatch. The road is cracked, barely visible, eaten by weeds. The cabins emerge like ghosts from the dust, weathered, sagging, windows shattered or boarded. The wind whistles through broken slats, carrying a low moan that feels uncomfortably human. She steps toward cabin 3, the largest, the one most likely to hide secrets. The door hangs crooked on rusted hinges. She tries the key. It slides in smoothly. Her pulse spikes. She turns it. The lock clicks. The door opens. Inside, the cabin smells of old smoke and dry wood. Dust dances in the narrow sunlight, slicing through a crack in the roof. A table sits in the center of the room, covered in papers, magazines, rusted tools, junk. Nothing immediately useful. But then she sees it, carved into the table's surface, deep, violent. 4 initials, GHDR, CR, HC. The breath leaves her lungs. The 4 men were here, together, at this table. This wasn't coincidence. It was a group, a pact, a crew. She searches the cabin carefully, methodically, drawer by drawer, board by board, until her flashlight lands on something in the corner, a metal hook in the ceiling beam, the kind used to hold heavy equipment, or a rope. Or, she forces the thought away. Beside it lies a small box, airtight, sealed with tape so old it crumbles when she touches it. Inside are scraps of paper, a faded photograph, a map she recognizes immediately, the same map she found in Rourke's house. Same roads, same arrows, but this map has something extra. A date, June 14th, 1998, the day Emily disappeared. Her hands shake as she examines the scribbles near the turnout circled in red. One note stands out. She knows. Hale stares at the words until they blur. Emily didn't stumble into danger. She witnessed something, or overheard something, or saw one of the men where he shouldn't have been. Something small that cracked the veneer of their secrecy. Something they couldn't let her walk away with. She searches every inch of cabin 3. Then cabin 2. Then cabin 1. The deeper she moves into the cabin cluster, the more the truth unspools in front of her. They used this place. They planned here. They hid here. The desert wasn't a coincidence. It was a tool. And then she enters cabin 4. This one is different. No dust, no animal droppings, no debris. Someone has been here recently. Her heartbeat surges as she steps inside. The air feels fresh. A blanket lies folded on the cot. The floor has a faint footprint, newer than any she's seen. Someone used this cabin within the last week. Someone who knows she's investigating. Someone who is still in the area. She backs out slowly, adrenaline spiking, senses sharp. The desert grows silent in a way that feels intentional, as if it is waiting for something to happen. She reaches her vehicle, locking the doors quickly, scanning the horizon. A dust plume rises far off in the distance. A vehicle, someone leaving, or someone watching. Hale grips the steering wheel, breath shallow. 3 men weren't the whole story. The crew didn't end in 1990. Someone survived. Someone stayed. Someone is still guarding the secret Emily died for. And now, they know she's coming. Detective Laura Hale drives away from the Warren Ridge cabins with the feeling that every mile of desert is narrowing around her, closing like a fist. Whoever used Cabin 4 recently left almost no trace, but the fresh footprint, the folded blanket, the faint scent of cigarette smoke clinging to the air, those details throb in her mind like an alarm. Someone has been watching the cabins. Someone who knows the terrain, knows the routes, knows the silence. Someone who either feared this investigation or anticipated it. The dust plume she saw in the distance is gone now, swallowed by wind. She tries to convince herself it could have been anyone, a rancher, a hiker, a trespasser. But deep inside, the truth uncoils. The man who used that cabin didn't stumble there. He belonged to it. And if he saw her arrive, then he knows exactly which threads of the past she's pulling. By the time she reaches town, dusk has fallen like a heavy curtain. Streetlights flicker to life as she enters the station, but the familiar hum of fluorescent bulbs does little to ground her. She spreads new evidence across her desk. The carved initials, the sealed box with the map, the key with the letters WRC, the notes scribbled by hands long gone. She knows. She stares at the phrase, feeling the decades between Emily and herself compress into a single moment of dread. If Emily knew something in 1998, something that tied these 4 men together, then Hale is tracing the same path, stepping on the same ground, pushing against the same darkness. And if the crew reacted with violence then, what will they do now? She replays everything she's found. 4 men connected by a P.O. box, 4 initials carved into a table, 3 confirmed at the scene of burned evidence. Rourke dead, Harlow gone, Renteria vanished, Calhoun untraceable. One of them likely still alive, still circling this desert, still haunting the shadows around Ridgeway Hollow. The question that gnaws at her now isn't which man survived. It's what they were doing in the first place. She calls in an analyst to dig into old warehouse shipments, deliveries, inventory logs, anything that might reveal an operation running beneath the surface of legitimate maintenance work. Hours pass as she waits, pacing the room, listening to the hum of the air conditioning and the low murmur of distant phones. Finally, close to midnight, the analyst returns with something unusual. There were discrepancies, he says, dropping a folder onto her desk. Lots of them, back in 97 and 98. She opens the folder to find mismatched inventory sheets, falsified signatures, missing cargo items, deliveries routed to unlisted destinations. But the most chilling pattern emerges from a single spreadsheet, a series of shipments marked with coded notes, small, cryptic letters that match the initials from the cabin table. GHDR, CRHC. Each entry contains a route number. Each route leads into isolated desert roads. Each destination is marked simply as drop. Hale feels her stomach turn. These men weren't random co-workers. They weren't friends experimenting with secrecy. They were part of something organized, something hidden, something that stretched beyond Emily Carter. Drugs? She asks. The analyst shakes his head. Too inconsistent. Not enough volume. Stolen goods? Possible, but the items listed aren't high value. Hale flips through pages of names, dates, codes, strange inventory counts that never match. Nothing screams crime, but the patterns are unmistakable. Something was moving through that warehouse, something worth hiding, something worth killing to protect. What were you doing? she whispers into the cold blue glow of the desk lamp. And why was Emily there? She combs the rest of the shipment logs until one entry catches her breath. A route numbered 7R14, dated 2 days before Emily vanished. The destination coordinates, handwritten, nearly illegible, match the turnout where her car was found. Hale's pulse spikes. Emily wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time. She was in the exact place these men used for drops. But why? The next morning, Hale visits Emily's old workplace, a local insurance office now staffed by strangers. She scans employee files, old call logs, archived emails. She searches for anything that might tie Emily to one of the warehouse workers, the drop points, the shipments. Nothing. Then she finds it. A police report filed by Emily in late May of 1998, 3 weeks before her disappearance. The report is brief, vague. A single page describing someone following her home from work. Someone in a white truck. Someone she couldn't identify. The responding officer wrote, "Likely random. No immediate threat." Hale clenches the paper, feeling heat rise in her chest. The officer dismissed it. No follow-up. No description beyond white truck. But Hale knows exactly who drove white trucks in 1998. Warehouse maintenance crews. Rourke drove one. Harlow drove one. Renteria drove one. And the fourth man? Undocumented. Was Emily followed because she saw something she wasn't meant to see? Heard something? Recognized someone at a drop point? She turns back to the report. Emily didn't describe fear. She didn't describe panic. She described suspicion. Emily was a detail-oriented woman. Quiet. Observant. The kind who watched carefully without drawing attention. If she noticed something amiss on the desert road, strange trucks, unusual cargo movements, men behaving secretively, she may have confronted one of them, or mentioned it to a friend, or called a hotline. Hale checks the phone records. Nothing unusual. She checks the office logs. Nothing. She checks her email archives. One message stands out. Sent June 12, 1990. Subject line, "Found something strange today." Addressed to her co-worker, but never opened. It sits in the archives like a sealed message from the dead. Hale opens it. The email is short. "Do you ever get the feeling someone's not who they say they are? Something's been bothering me lately. I think I saw someone from the old service roads near town today. I'm probably wrong. We'll talk on Monday." But Emily never made it to Monday. Haley leans back, feeling the pieces slide into place with a sickening click. Emily recognized someone. Someone she'd seen before. Someone she could identify. A man from those service roads, roads used by the warehouse crew. One of the 4 men. Someone saw her see him, and that sealed her fate. As evening falls, Hale drives to the turnout again, the place where Emily was last seen. The wind whispers through sagebrush, carrying the memory of tire tracks long gone. She crouches by the roadside, imagining Emily pulling over under the rising heat of a desert sun. Imagining her facing the man she recognized. Imagining the moment everything turned. She stands, scanning the horizon, feeling the weight of unseen eyes. The desert remembers, but so does someone alive. Her phone vibrates. A number with no caller ID. She answers cautiously. A voice crackles through. Male, rough, weathered. The kind of voice born from years of sleeping under open sky and hiding from answers. "You need to stop," he says. Her grip tightens. "Who is this?" Silence. Then, "You don't know what you're digging into. Harlow." She presses. "Renteria, which one are you? You're going to get yourself killed." His tone is calm, chillingly calm. Emily didn't deserve what happened. Hale says. She deserves the truth. A long exhale, almost a sigh. "You think this is about her? You think she was the first?" Hale stiffens. Her pulse hammers. "What does that mean?" Again. Silence. Then he whispers, "Don't go back to the cabins." The line clicks dead. Hale stands frozen beside her car, the weight of his warning pressing into her lungs. Her instincts scream at her that the man was not bluffing, not panicked, not confused. He was resigned to something darker than guilt, something older. She returns to the station and immediately traces the call. It pings off a lone tower south of the abandoned mining road. A dead zone. A place only locals or fugitives would know how to access. Someone is watching her. Someone knows her route. Someone is following the same lines of the map she's tracing. She goes to the chief's office, requesting backup, surveillance, a team. But the chief hesitates. Cold cases strain budgets. Hale has no suspect name, no solid lead, only a voice on a phone and a missing woman 2 decades dead. "We'll revisit this tomorrow," he says. "There may not be a tomorrow," she fires back. But he's already moving on, unaware of how close she is to the heart of the desert's secret. Back at her desk, Hale sits in the dim glow of the lamp, staring at the phrase carved into the cabin table. GHDRCRHC. 4 men tied by a secret, one of them still alive, one of them calling her phone, and the desert, always the desert, holding the answers just out of reach. Hale closes her eyes, breathing deeply, and makes her decision. If the man warned her not to return to the cabins, then that is exactly where she will go. Not tomorrow, not with backup that may never arrive, but tonight, under cover of darkness, because Emily saw something that cost her life, and Hale is about to see what Emily saw, even if it means walking straight into the jaws of the cold case itself. Night swallows the desert in a single sweeping breath as Detective Laura Hale drives toward the Warren Ridge cabins. Her headlights carve thin white blades through the darkness, catching fragments of drifting dust and the occasional glint of metal half buried in sand. Every mile feels heavier than the last. Every mile feels like a step into a story she can no longer control. She grips the steering wheel tighter than necessary. The silent phone in her pocket feels like a live wire, an unanswered question burned into plastic and metal. The voice she heard earlier lingers in her mind, replaying in low, unsettling loops. "You think she was the first?" The words cling to her, cold as the night air leaking through the vents. She crests the last ridge before the cabin cluster. The road descends steeply, unraveling into a thin sliver of dirt, winding between sagebrush and boulders. She kills her lights before reaching the clearing, letting the night cloak her car in darkness. The moon offers faint illumination, enough to cast long, crooked shadows across the ground, but not enough to soften the sense of dread pooling in her stomach. She steps out quietly, flashlight off, gun holstered but within reach. The desert hums with distant insects, a whispering orchestra beneath the vast expanse of sky. She moves toward cabin 4, the one with fresh signs of life, each footstep sinking slightly into the cool sand. The cabin greets her like a watching eye. The door she left closed now sits slightly ajar. Her heart stutters. Someone has been here since she last visited. Maybe they're still inside. Maybe they're behind her. Maybe they're watching from the rocks. The night seems to breathe around her as she edges forward, pushing the door open with the tip of her boot. The cabin is dim but not empty. Her beam flicks on for a split second, just long enough to sweep across the cot. The blanket is gone. The footprint she saw earlier has been brushed away, and in its place on the dusty floor lies something new, a small stack of papers. Neat, deliberate, left for her. She kneels slowly, the wood creaking beneath her weight. The papers are held together by a single bent staple. The top one is a photocopy of a police report. She reads the header, breath catching. Missing person report. Filed 96. Name, Talia Moreno. A woman, 23 years old. Last seen south of the abandoned mining road. Last known contact, a friend who reported she never arrived home after work. The case went cold within weeks. Hale flips to the next page. Another report. Name, Megan Albright. Disappeared on her way to a night class. Then another. Name, Donna Hayes. Car found abandoned on a service road near the warehouse district. The stack grows heavier in her hands with each turn. Women missing. Cars abandoned. Roads unlit. Cases unsolved. All from the same region. All along maintenance routes the 4 men would have traveled. The dates stretch back long before Emily Carter. The pattern spans years, nearly a decade of disappearances before 1998. Hale feels her pulse spike, cold and sharp. The voice on the phone wasn't lying. Emily wasn't the first. She wasn't even close. A sound in the doorway snaps her head up. She draws her gun instinctively, breath freezing. A figure stands just beyond the threshold, silhouetted, motionless. Male, tall, still as stone. She raises her weapon, flashlight trained on the outline. "Show your hands!" The figure doesn't move. "Hands!" she commands again, louder now, finger tightening on the trigger. The man slowly lifts his hands, palms outward, but remains silent. Hale's heart hammers against her ribs. She steps closer, beam shifting over his face. It's not Harlow, not Renteria, not anyone she expected. This man is older, beard thick, hair tangled and streaked with grey. His eyes are dark, hollow, rimmed with exhaustion. He looks like he's lived in the desert for years, skin weathered, posture cautious, like a man who has learned to survive by hiding in plain sight. "Who are you?" Hale demands. "Name." His throat moves as he swallows. When he finally speaks, his voice is rough, cracked from years of disuse, but unmistakably the same voice from the phone. "You need to leave," he says. "They'll come if they know you're here." "Who?" She fires back. His silence answers more than words. "Are you Grant Harlow?" she asks. He hesitates. A flicker, barely perceptible, but enough. She steps closer. "Did you take Emily Carter?" He shakes his head, firm. "No." "Did you know what happened to her?" A longer pause this time. His gaze drifts past her, sweeping the room like he's searching for ghosts. "Yes," he whispers. "I know." Her hands tremble, but she steadies them. "Then tell me." The man exhales slowly, the sound heavy with years of suffocated truth. It started before her, before all of them. The crew wasn't supposed to be like that. "What was it?" Hale presses. "An operation," he says, voice low. "Simple at first. Small things. Deliveries, pickups, off the books. Stuff no one would notice. Stolen items? No." He shakes his head. "Something worse." "What?" "They moved people." The words hit her like a blow to the chest. Hale feels the cabin tilt around her, her breath thinning. Human trafficking. In Nevada, in the 90s. 4 warehouse workers running illegal handoffs in the desert. The canyon wasn't a meeting point for stolen goods. It was a handover site, a crossroads for lives being bought, sold, discarded. Harlow wipes a hand across his face. "I didn't know at first. Rourke didn't either, but Renteria, he did, and Calhoun. They were in deep, too deep to ever get out. And when you found out?" Hale demands. Harlow steps back, eyes darkening with memory. "When I found out, they made sure I kept my mouth shut. They made sure Rourke did too." Rourke's broken ulna flashes in Hale's mind. "So they beat him," she says quietly. "And me," Harlow murmurs. "More than once." "Then why did you stay?" "Because if I ran, they'd kill me." "They killed Emily," Hale says, voice breaking slightly. Harlow stiffens. "No, they didn't mean to. She wasn't supposed to be there." "But she saw something." He nods slowly. "She saw Calhoun. That was the end of it." "And Renteria?" "Renteria handled the body." Hale's stomach twists violently. "Emily is dead?" Harlow looks at her with weary certainty. "No one survived once they were taken into that canyon." Hale closes her eyes for a moment, grief rising like a tide. "But why leave these reports?" she asks, motioning to the stack of missing person files. "Why help me now?" Harlow's expression shifts. Fear, guilt, something heavier. "Because Calhoun is still out there." Hale's breath stops. The 4th man. The one whose name appeared only in scribbles and whispers. The one who vanished early. The one who introduced the others to the operation. The one who started everything. "Where is he?" she demands. Harlow glances toward the darkness outside the cabin, his voice trembling. "You won't find him." "Why not?" "Because he's been finding you." The words ice her veins. Harlow steps back suddenly, the boards creaking under his weight. "You brought him here tonight, Detective. You were followed." The night presses inward, thick and suffocating. Hale's instincts flare, adrenaline tearing through her veins. "Where?" she hisses. Harlow's eyes widen with terror, pure, unfiltered. Then the gunshot explodes. The cabin erupts in splinters as wood splays outward in a violent burst. Hale dives behind the table, papers scattering around her like panicked birds. Harlow staggers, clutching his shoulder, blood seeping through his fingers. "He's here!" Harlow gasps. "Run!" Another shot tears through the wall. Hale grabs Harlow by the vest and drags him behind the cot. Dust rains down. Outside, heavy footsteps crunch across gravel, measured, precise, hunting. She kills her flashlight. Darkness collapses in. Calhoun, the architect of the operation, the man who vanished, the man who still guards the secret buried in the desert. His voice slices through the night. "You should have stayed out of this, Detective." Her breath trembles. "This is no longer an investigation. This is a hunt." And now, the hunter has come home. The night around Cabin 4 turns pitch black, the kind of darkness that feels alive, crawling into every crack of wood and bone. Detective Laura Hale presses herself against the floorboards, breath shallow, listening as footsteps crunch just outside the door. Harlow bleeds beside her, teeth clenched, trying not to make a sound. She grips her gun tighter, the weight steady and cold in her hand, but her heartbeat is a wild, frantic drum inside her chest. Henry Calhoun. The name curls through her mind like smoke, poisonous and suffocating. The ghost she's been chasing isn't a ghost at all. He's flesh, bone, movement, alive, armed, and standing feet away. Silence stretches, a thin wire ready to snap. Then his low voice breaks through the dark, drifting like an echo from a deeper abyss. "You should have listened to him," Calhoun says. "This desert doesn't like being disturbed." Hale's pulse spikes. She shifts slightly, aligning her weapon with the gap beneath the cot. She can't see him yet, but she knows he sees everything. A board creaks under his weight. He's moving along the wall, testing the structure, testing her. Harlow grips her arm, whispering through clenched teeth. "He won't rush in. He's patient. Always was." Hale barely nods. "He's going to wait for you to panic," Harlow adds, voice trembling. "Don't. Just don't." But the silence outside is worse than panic. Worse than any scream. It drags on, long and oppressive, until Hale feels her nerves stretch thin like frayed rope. Then, a small metallic click. The kind that comes from a lighter. A thin glow flickers outside, soft but unmistakable. Calhoun isn't just smoking. He's illuminating the cabin window's reflection, trying to catch her movement in the glass. Hale freezes. Another creak. Harlow's voice barely rises above a breath. "Don't look." But she does, just enough to catch the silhouette of a man outside. Tall, steady, deliberate. A shadow with a pulse. And in the faint orange glow she sees the shape of his face. Even lit only for a moment, it is unmistakable. Sharp angles, hollow cheeks, eyes like two pits carved into stone. Calhoun. He extinguishes the lighter. The world goes black again. Hale inhales silently, calculating the distance between them. The door is open just an inch. He could step inside at any second. Or he could wait until she runs. Either way, he controls the darkness. A whisper drifts through the frame. "Detective Hale." Her skin prickles. "You've been very busy." His tone is unsettlingly calm, the kind of calm only found in men who enjoy what comes next. "You went through the cabins," he continues. "Through my things. Through our history." A soft exhale. "You're not the first to think you could fix what happened, but you might be the last." Harlow swallows hard, whispering. "He killed Donna Hayes, Megan Albright, Talia Moreno, all the others. He did it before he even met us." Calhoun laughs, quiet, chilling. "You didn't tell her the rest, Harlow." Hale steadies her breathing. "You didn't tell her who helped me afterward." Harlow goes still, completely still. Hale's head snaps toward him. Their eyes meet. There is a look there, a guilt so deep it borders on collapse. Harlow whispers, broken. "We didn't know at first. When we did, we were trapped. He made us choose." Calhoun's voice slices in. "You weren't trapped. You were weak." Hale's jaw tightens. She whispers sharply, "What did he make you do?" Harlow doesn't answer. Not at first. Then barely audible, "Bury the evidence." Hale's stomach twists. "He killed them." Harlow continues. "We just made the bodies disappear." Calhoun makes a low, satisfied sound. "And you did such fine work." Hale's mind races. If there are bodies, if there are graves, then Emily's truth isn't the only truth buried in Ridgeway Hollow. This case isn't one murder. It's dozens. A graveyard carved into the desert. A quiet scrape comes from the porch. Calhoun has shifted positions again. Hale angles her gun toward the sound. He speaks before she can. "You won't shoot me, detective." "How do you know?" she whispers into the dark. "Because you can't see me, and you don't shoot at shadows." He's right, but then he adds, voice low, "And because I'm not here to kill you." Silence. A heavy, impossible silence. Harlow's eyes widen in confusion. Hale's breath catches. "Then why did you shoot?" "To scare him," Calhoun says. "To make him shut up." Another pause. "I'm here because you're getting close to the part of the story no one survived when they reached it." Hale's grip tightens. "And what part is that?" Calhoun inhales slowly. "The part where you learn who we worked for." The words hang in the air like a blade. Harlow shifts painfully, blood seeping through his sleeve. "Don't listen to him," he whispers. "He's lying." But Calhoun chuckles, amused. "Tell her the truth, Harlow." Hale locks onto Harlow's face. He looks terrified, not of Calhoun, but of the truth itself. "What were the drops?" Hale demands. "Who organized them?" Harlow's voice cracks. "I don't know." "Liar!" Calhoun snaps. "Then what did you move?" she presses. Harlow squeezes his eyes shut, shaking visibly. "People. Women. Sometimes kids. We didn't ask where they came from." Calhoun gave orders. We carried them out. Calhoun speaks again, quiet and composed. "You only saw the end of the chain, detective. The desert was just a passing point. There were men above us, men with reach, men who do not like being noticed." Hale feels the weight of his words in her spine, but she doesn't let him see fear. "You expect me to believe an organized trafficking ring hid behind a rural warehouse crew for a decade?" Calhoun steps closer. She can hear the gravel shift under his boot. "You should believe it," he says. "You found the logs. What were the WRC cabins used for?" He laughs softly. "Temporary storage." Hale's breath catches. "Storage? You mean—" "Yes." Harlow shudders beside her. Calhoun continues. "They stayed there until transport arrived. Trucks, vans, sometimes helicopters." Helicopters. The thought punches through her like ice. This wasn't small. This wasn't accidental. This wasn't four men acting alone in the dark. This was systemic. Calhoun lowers his voice. "You're not dealing with a crime scene, detective. You're dealing with infrastructure." A cold dread snakes through Hale. But then Calhoun says something even worse. "And Emily wasn't supposed to die." Hale feels her breath freeze mid-lung. "What?" She panicked. Calhoun says. Rourke panicked. Things escalated. She hit her head when she fought back. Harlow's eyes widen in shock. "You told us she was already—" Calhoun laughs quietly. "Why would I tell you the truth? You wouldn't have helped me if you'd known you could still save her." Harlow's face collapses. "Oh God!" A new layer of horror slams through Hale. Emily might have been alive when the others handled her. Alive when they dragged her into the canyon. Alive when she disappeared. Hale's vision blurs for a moment, rage and grief swirling into one unbearable pressure. She lifts her gun. "You killed her." But Calhoun's reply is soft. "No, you don't get it. I never touched her." Hale freezes. "What do you mean?" she whispers. A pause, a shifting of gravel, a measured step closer. She wasn't the one I was supposed to collect that night. Hale's grip falters. "What?" Calhoun breathes out slowly. Emily Carter wasn't the target. Her pulse spikes violently. Then who was? A silence long enough to shatter. Then Calhoun smiles. She hears it in his voice. "Someone else saw us first." Hale's mind races. "Who?" she demands. The whisper that comes is almost gentle. "Someone you've already met." Her blood turns to ice. Before she can speak, Harlow suddenly grabs her wrist, eyes wild. "He's lying!" A third gunshot explodes. The cabin fills with smoke. Harlow collapses against her. Dead weight. Blood everywhere. Calhoun's footsteps move away, not toward escape, but toward the other cabins. Toward something he left unfinished. Hale tries to scramble after him, but everything tilts. The shock wave of the gunshot, the weight of Harlow in her arms, the dark truth crashing over her like a tidal wave. Emily wasn't the target. Someone else was. Someone still alive. Someone connected to the case. And Calhoun is going after them now. Hale forces herself upright, adrenaline cutting through the haze. She runs into the night, weapon raised, final realization burning like fire through her veins. The cold case wasn't a closed door. It was the beginning of a hunt, and the next victim is already chosen. The desert explodes into motion as Detective Laura Hale tears out of cabin 4, the cold night air slicing across her skin like sharpened glass. She runs on instinct, feet pounding the dry earth, lungs scraping for breath, adrenaline roaring louder than the wind. Behind her, Harlow's blood still stains her hands, a visceral reminder of how quickly Calhoun kills, how precise he is, how merciless, and how far ahead he already is. His footsteps vanished into the darkness seconds after the gunshot, swallowed by sand, wind, and a lifetime of knowing how to disappear. Hale halts, straining her ears for any hint of direction. A snapped twig, a disturbed stone, the whisper of breath carried on the night breeze. Nothing. The desert is too silent, too still, too knowing. She forces herself to think, to cut through the panic rising like wildfire. If Emily wasn't the intended target, if Calhoun had been waiting for someone else that night, someone who saw them first, then the real victim has been walking free for 27 years. Someone who stepped into the edges of the operation without realizing it. Someone who survived by accident or by ignorance, and now Calhoun is going after them. Her mind reels back over every interview, every witness who spoke too softly, every old neighbor who lingered on their porch a moment too long, every clerk who hesitated before answering her questions. Then the realization hits so fast it feels like a physical blow. The missing police report, the email to a co-worker that was never opened, the neighbor who said Emily felt watched, the co-worker Emily wrote to, the one who never responded. Hale's breath seizes. Marcy Lang, Emily's closest friend. Co-worker. Confidant. The last person Emily attempted to talk to before vanishing. Hale bolts toward her car, nearly slipping in the sand before she steadies herself and leaps into the driver's seat. The engine roars, headlights slice into darkness, tires spin through grit. She speeds down the desert road, each bump jolting her deeper into terror. Her mind races with fragments of the past. Marcy had seemed nervous when Hale first spoke to her months ago, twisting her hands, glancing over her shoulder as if searching for ghosts. She'd insisted she didn't know anything, that she barely remembered 1998, that Emily never mentioned danger. But Hale had felt something simmering beneath her words. A shadow, a hesitation, a silence too heavy to be coincidence. Marcy had seen something, and Calhoun knows it. The road unravels like a spine beneath Hale's wheels. She pushes the car faster, ignoring the protests of the engine, the way the steering wheel vibrates under her grip. The desert flashes past in washed-out blurs until the highway rises ahead, a dark ribbon leading toward town. Her phone vibrates violently on the passenger seat. She glances at the display. Unknown number. Her blood chills. She answers with a trembling whisper. "Calhoun." Silence, then breathing. Slow, steady, purposeful. "Driving fast, detective," Calhoun murmurs, voice low and cold as a crypt. "But you won't make it in time." Hale's grip tightens around the steering wheel. "Leave her alone." "I'm not doing anything," he replies. "I'm finishing something." "Emily wasn't the target." Hale snaps. "It was Marcy." "Why?" Calhoun chuckles. The sound is soft, almost gentle, but drenched in cruelty. "She watched from her window," he says. "Saw Renteria's truck pull onto the service road. Saw the girl we'd collected. Saw us unload her. She was supposed to be taken that night." Hale's voice fractures. "But you got Emily instead." "A mistake," Calhoun says simply. "One I corrected. But loose ends bother me, detective. And Marcy. She was the last loose thread." Hale's tires screech as she swerves around a curve. "You stay away from her." "You don't give orders in my desert," he replies. The line goes dead. Hale slams her fist against the dashboard, the frustration boiling through her veins. The town lights appear ahead, scattered, trembling, flickering like candles in a storm. She races through empty intersections, past shuttered shops and quiet houses, until she reaches a small cul-de-sac on the east edge of town. Marcy Lang lives halfway down the street. Her porch light is on. The front door is open. Hale's heart drops. She draws her weapon and moves toward the house, each step a fragile thread stretched tight between hope and horror. She calls out, "Marcy!" No response. She enters. The living room is a violent mess. Upturned furniture, a shattered lamp, a trail of blood smeared across the floor like a dragged hand. A mug lies broken near the couch, its contents still warm, steaming faintly in the cool night air. Hale's breath stutters. "Marcy!" She calls louder now, voice cracking. A faint sound answers, not from the living room, deeper. The hallway. Hale rushes forward, following the smear of blood, following the sound of soft, muffled sobbing. She reaches the bedroom. Inside, Marcy Lang is bound to a chair, gagged, shaking violently as tears streak down her face. Her eyes widen with terror as Hale cuts the restraints, pulling the gag free. He was here," Marcy gasps. "He said you brought this. He said—" "Where is he now?" Hale demands, voice sharp. "I don't know. He left through the back. He said he'd finish the job if you didn't stop him." Hale's brain fires in rapid bursts. "Marcy, what did you see in 1998? Marcy's trembling worsens. I never told anyone. I didn't think anyone would believe me. I saw the truck. Renteria's truck. I saw a girl in the back seat. She was alive. I called Emily. She said she'd talk to the police.